Half of you are at risk of running out of money in retirement. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? Oh my goodness. I'm reading this article from America's retirement crisis is a financial crisis too. This is a Bloomberg piece that appears on Advisor Perspectives, and I just had to chuckle a bit at this because all right, so let's just go down. They say right here, the Center for Retirement Research at Boston College, right here, Center for Retirement Research. I haven't done a video on these guys for a while, and I'm losing my paper because it's windy out here, and I'm going to go into this. The Centers for Retirement Research at Boston College, which has been studying financial preparedness for more than a decade, estimates that about a half of working-age households are at risk, meaning they're on track to fall more than 10% short of the income they'll need to retire comfortably. In dollar terms, that means there's a retirement savings shortfall of $7 trillion. Oh my goodness, and that includes no cuts to Social Security. Oh my goodness, how could they? So, as I do, I say let's take a gig, because I've done videos on these guys before, but it's been a couple years. I thought it'd be fun to do it again. So I printed off their paper they got, which is this one right here. Let's go over this, shall we? All right, so let's go over. How did they find that out? So, the 2021 version of the National Retirement Risk Index from the Center for Retirement Research at Boston College. The authors are Alicia Monell, Anki Chen, and Robert Siliciano. Okay, Alicia's the only one who's been there for the beginning. All right. So let's see. The National Retirement Risk Assessment or Index compares households' projected retirement rates, retirement income as a percentage of pre-retirement income, with target rates that would allow them to maintain their living standard, then calculates the percentage of falling short. All right, so there's a lot going on in that sentence. So they're basically saying we're going to project replacement rates, retirement income as a percentage of pre-retirement income. All right. With target rates that would allow them to maintain their living standard and then calculate the percentage that will fall short. Since the Great Recession, the National Retirement Risk Index has shown that even if households work to age 65 and annuitize all their financial assets, including their homes, roughly half are at risk of being less than 10%, having 10% less than their current, quote, income pre-retirement. So let's keep going, because I want to share with you something. So the first thing that jumps out at me is, okay, what's the nuts and bolts of this? Constructing the National Retirement Risk Index involves 3 steps. Projecting retirement placement rate. Retirement income is a share of pre-retirement income. All right, number 2, constructing a target replacement rate consistent with maintaining a pre-retirement standard of living. Number 3, comparing the projected target rates to find the percentage of households at risk. So we have 3 things we're going to do. 1, we're going to project a replacement rate. 2, we're going to construct a target replacement rate. And 3, we're going to compare the 2. All right. Retirement income at age 65 is defined broad. So this is where the rubber hits the road. Retirement income at 65 is defined broadly to include all the usual suspects plus housing. Assets at retirement are projected based on a stable relationship between age and wealth to income ratios from 1983 to 2019. Assets at retirement are projected based on a stable relationship between wealth to income ratios. So they're basically going to project that going forward at a certain age group. It's okay. The National Retirement Risk Index assumes that at retirement, households annuitize all their assets and get a reverse mortgage on their home. All right. Target replacement rates are estimated for different types of households, assuming that households spend their income so as to have the same level of consumption in retirement as if they had before. You hear that? That's the critical thing. Target replacement rates are estimated to assume that the households have the same level of consumption in retirement as they did pre-retirement. Well, we know that that's stupid, but anyway, let's keep going. Is there anything else I highlighted on this? Let's see. Social Security. Higher wage growth among low-income groups reduced Social Security. So basically, higher wage growth among lower income groups reduced Social Security replacement rates by 1% due to the program's progressive benefit formula. What they're saying is, well, we'll read it. Specifically, the strong wage growth for lower income workers moved a larger portion of their total earnings from the lower tier at 90% replacement to the higher tier at 32%. And that's a negative thing because they're making more money. That means more of their income, less of their income will be beneficial from Social Security. Because remember, the bend points in Social Security. The first, basically, $1,000 you make as your AIME. I'm not going to get into all that right now. Social Security will give you 90% of that. The next amount up to $5,500, Social Security will give you 32% of that. And the next amount above $5,500, they'll give you 15%. So the point being is they're saying, oh my goodness, these people made more money because of strong labor income growth. That means they're going to have less replacement income from Social Security. It's the first time in history anyone's griped about higher income wages. But I guess if you're looking for risks in retirement, that would make you suspect. All right, so that's fine. I said, well, let's keep talking because let's talk about the actual data for where they get replacement ratios in their retirement income because they haven't defined it yet. They haven't defined. They kind of defined it. It says to keep our current consumption pre-retirement to post-retirement. Well, what does that mean? So we're going to go into this a little bit, and this is from 2006. All right. So this is the beginning of the National Retirement Risk Index. Now, remember, Bloomberg is writing about this. So the mainstream media, of course, will be writing about it, which means a lot of you guys are going to fall for it. It's like, oh my goodness, I can never retire. Alicia Munnell, her retirement risk assessment said only 50% of us are not at risk. Oh my goodness, stop the pain. It's so freaking stupid. All right, and this is in 2006. The majority of today's retirees are able to afford a decent retirement. However, this group is living in a golden age that will fade as baby boomers and Generation Xers reach traditional retirement age in the coming decades. This gloomy prediction reflects the trend towards longer retirements and likely declines in retirement income relative to pre-retirement earnings, known as replacement rates. All right, so we're going on 2 decades now. That was 16 years ago they said this. The group retired today is living in the golden age of retirement, but future they won't. Well, 16 years have gone by. Are they not living are they living a lot worse in retirement? The answer is unequivocally no. No, it's stupid, man. All right, so then because many Americans appear unaware of these disquieting trends, the Center for Retirement Research at Boston College has developed a National Retirement Risk Index, which measures the share of working-age households who are at risk of being unable to maintain their pre-retirement standard of living. So what exactly is the standard of living, you ask? All right, because that's the thing. All right, what do you mean by pre-retirement standard of living? So here they're saying pre-retirement standard of living. Before they're saying their current consumption. Well, what does that mean? So we're going to fast forward a little bit. All right. And let's see. Again, talking about, I'm just kind of looking at my highlights, talking about, again, how the people who retired in 2006 are living La Vida freaking bonita, but future households will have to retire later if they're able to, if they are to have an adequate income. All right. We already talked about what retirement income is broadly to include all of the usual suspects, your pensions, your Social Security, your investments, plus your housing. All right. Keep going down here. Estimating pre-retirement income. Because this is what the fundamental thing is here. If we're going to get a replacement ratio, we need to start with what are we replacing? Because a ratio means we're going to replace something. What are we trying to replace? The items that comprise pre-retirement income includes earnings, the return on taxable financial investments, and imputed rent from housing. That's your pre-retirement income, your earnings, your return on taxable financial assets, and your imputed rent from housing. What the hell is that? You don't know. I don't know. They try to define it. It's so freaking stupid. Hold on just a second here. Let me pause. Just got to pause down here. Hold on. It's so bright I can't even see what I got to Get Pablo. So they're saying your pre-retirement income includes your earned income, your sweat equity. If you have any financial investments, the interest in earnings you get off those, how will they compute that? I don't know. And then your imputed rent from housing. And then it gives you a asterisk to tell us where they're getting that number from. I said, well, what exactly is that, Alicia? I used to, the imputed, imputed rent from housing. As with components of retirement income, both mortgage debt and non-mortgage debt are subtracted from the appropriate components of pre-retirement income. I mean, so as with the component, I mean, that's it. That's what they say. So your imputed rent from housing, and then they say, well, what exactly is that? How do you define that? And they're saying, well, we just take away your mortgage debt and we're basically taking away your debt from pre-retirement income. But that's okay. But part of your pre-retirement income is your imputed rent from housing. I assume what that simply means is this is going to be your, if the average housing cost in your neighborhood for rent is $3,000 a month, I'm assuming, because that's what imputed income means, is that the $3,000 a month you have to make in which to afford a rental house in your neighborhood, because you own your house outright, you don't have to make that, which means you don't need to earn $36,000 in which to pay tax on the $36,000 in order to live in your home, because you already live there, if that makes sense. But they don't describe, it's like, no one does this. No one uses imputed income as part of your pre-retirement income. That's freaking, no one does that. It's nonsensical. All right. Earnings histories. And this is another thing that ticks me off. Earnings histories are indexed to reflect the growth in wages, average wage index. We talked about that with Social Security, an average of the life of the household. Average annual income from wealth is calculated by applying a real return, that's net of inflation, of 4.6% to pre-retirement assets. This number, combined with the average wage index lifetime earnings, then serves as a denominator for the replacement for each household's replacement rate. So you're going to take historical earnings, you're going to adjust that average wage index style, a la Social Security, to get some kind of gauge of what my pre-retirement income is. Then you're also going to use imputed rent from housing. So freaking stupid, man. I mean, I get that they're saying, look, we're going to level this out a little bit. I get that. But Josh of this year is so different from Josh of 10 years ago. It's just freaking dumb. Most people look at pre-retirement incomes. They say, what is your income now, right before you're about to retire? How much of that do you need to live on? That's what our pre-retirement income is. They use imputed income, 4.6% real return on pre-retirement assets, a return on taxable financial assets. It's just freaking stupid, man. I hate that. It's dumb. All right, but here's where it gets even funner. Median replacement rates at age 65 by age groups. Early boomers have a 77% median replacement rate. So if they made $100,000 according to their insane calculation, they need $77,000 a year to retire. And I'm assuming, by the way, that will be adjusted with inflation each and every year thereafter, which is stupid too, but they don't say. Generation Xers, that's your old buddy Josh. We need 65% of our pre-retirement income to retire, adjusted each and every year incrementally with inflation. That's a median. All right, then they're going to do your income group. If you're in the bottom third of the income, so you're, we'll say we divide it into three thresholds. People making less than 50,000, people making 50 to 150, people making over 150. I don't know what they're using in terms of thirds, but that's just for simplicity. If you're in the bottom third of income group and you're married, you need an 81% replacement ratio. If you and your spouse work, you need a 77% replacement ratio. Where do they get that from? It doesn't make any sense. If you're a single woman, you need an 82% replacement ratio, and if you're a single man, you need a 76%. It's just complete. This isn't science. This is just complete theoretical stuff. The final step is creating. Is to simply compare each household's projected replacement rate with the appropriate target. Households' projected replacement rate that falls more than 10% below the target are deemed to be at risk of having insufficient income to maintain their pre-retirement standard of living. For example, a household with a 70% target rate would be classified as being at risk if their projected replacement rate falls below 63% of the 70%. All right. Do I have any other highlights? Right here. Finally, movements in the index from 1983 to 2004, and they just created this in 2006, have shown that generally rising, the retirement risk is rising steadily over time. All right, so basically, this is in 2006. Now we're in 2021. Again, the point being is they're getting a pre-retirement income rate that if you can't define it in 2 seconds flat, it's just too stupid. Keep it simple, stupid always. What's it called? Occam's razor or something like that. Let's just make this simple, man. On top of that, they're including pre-retirement, the imputed income on your house. It's just so freaking stupid. They're indexing all your wages from your historical. Why does Josh at 30 years old have anything to do with Josh is going to retire at 65? Nothing. Has nothing to do. I know they're trying to do, and rightly, they're trying to level off your income. But that's just as opposed to saying, oh, you need your top three, essentially, because that's stupid too. But then they're going to say you need a 75 to 65% replacement rate based on imputed income, based on annuitizing everything to include your house. And then we're going to give you 4.6% real rate of return. And that's net of inflation. And again, we're going to assume your income needs grow each and every year with inflation. And now 50% of the people are at risk. It's just this freaking insane. Anyway, you can't listen to these people. They're stupid. Look, I was a big proponent of the people at Boston College. I learned a lot about Social Security from those guys. And I fell for it hook, on and sinker, too, about the risks that was attributed to the average American. And as I started getting a little bit more gray beardish, if you will, I realized these people, they're living in their ivory tower, man. Now, who funds these guys? Oh, all the various left wing, the Urban Institute, I think it's Manhattan Institute, I'm sure Ford Foundation's in there someplace with Teresa Guradelli and all this. It's all the same crew, all scaring you to death, saying there used to be better in the old days. And it's embarrassing. Just stop. The only thing that matters is what you can do. Nothing else matters. All right. Love your thoughts. We'll see you.